Hello, beautiful souls. We're talking about self-love and self-care in quarantine and beyond, and today we're talking about fear. Fear is not only painful, it can be crippling, it can paralyze you, it can make you so weak and so terrified that you are unable to get on with your life. And that's why we need to address that problem. That's why we need to learn to either eliminate it or at least live with it in a way that is not too uncomfortable, that doesn't prevent us from functioning and from feeling good, which is the ultimate goal. So there are different levels and different forms of fear. One of them is panic, and of course at the moment there are triggers for panic attacks because our fears and anxieties are amplified by the current situation and by the very valid concerns that people have. But what we need to realize when we are afraid is that most of the time what we fear is in the future. It's not happened yet. And for now, we are safe. So when you have a panic attack, you must get grounded and come back to the present moment in order to realize that there is nothing to fear right now. And the best way to do that is to use your five senses, your sight mostly. Look around you, fix your attention on something in the room and realize that you're here, that you're in the now, and that for now you are safe. Nothing can happen to you, nothing can hurt you right now. You're safe. And breathe. Inhale deeply through the nose and blow out through your mouth. Blow out all the fear, all the panic, all the negative energy. Imagine a dark cloud leaving you, being expelled and getting out of your system. And what happens with panic is that if you do that every time that you feel the panic coming, with time, with practice and consistency, you will eventually be able to anticipate the panic attack and to avoid it altogether. And it might take some time. It's not the same for every one of us, but it is quite possible to get rid of them once and for all. So it's worth trying. Another form of fear is anxiety, and of course, again, it is understandable at the moment that it happens more frequently because we don't know what's going to happen to us. But anxiety is part of our daily lives anyway. We've all been anxious, we've all been afraid of something, we've all imagined negative scenarios, and one way to get rid of them is to actually imagine the worst possible outcome. Avoid avoidance. If you're afraid of something, face it. Imagine that the worst has happened and imagine that you can handle it. That's the best way of not being afraid of it anymore. Imagine that you have been made redundant and that you found another job that is way better. Imagine that someone dumped you, but you met someone else who is your perfect soulmate. Imagine that you did catch the virus, but you got better. Imagine that, anything really, that you launched a company and it didn't work, but you met people who led you to something even better. There's any sort of situation can make you anxious, and any sort of positive outcome is possible in a negative situation. I was forced to resign from my job, and at the time I thought it was terrible, but then it led to a whole new career that I enjoyed a lot more. Plus, I had more time for my son, so it was actually a good thing. And that's true of most situations that at first we fear. So train yourself to do that. And Susan Jeffers, who wrote a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, it's a very good book if you can read it. It's really, really good and full of useful tips. And she has a mantra that says, whatever happens, I'll handle it, I'll learn from it, I'll grow from it, and I'll make it a triumph. And I love that because it's true. It does work. But you need to convince yourself that it is true and that it is going to work for you. So try to do that for every fear that you have. Try to tame your fear. Try to make them your allies instead of pushing them away. And most of the time what we fear is what is actually good for us. So we might bear that in mind next time we are afraid. And the last form of fear I wanted to talk to you about today is phobia. Most people have one or even several phobias, and one of the good ways to deal with them, one that worked for me personally, is to put them in the past. Panic you can put in the future, but phobia you can put in the past. You can decide that you used to be afraid of something, but now you're not. And that sounds really silly and simplistic, but I can assure you that in my case, it did work. And it's so easy when you think about it, but our mind is so powerful, and we can convince ourselves that we are stronger and that we are already a different person. But all you have to do is remember to do it every time that you are triggered. So that's all for today, and take care, stay tuned, and I'll speak to you soon.